sometimes we leave our environments somewhat exploitable. I think it's sort of a wake-up call to say, hey, what's really important and what's not important. And to your point earlier, I don't mean to go there too quickly, but there's just some basic hygiene that needs to occur on a day-to-day basis that we sort of take for granted, keeping patch levels where they need to be. 80% of the security breaches that are going on right now would be resolved at the patch levels where they're supposed to be. It's very simple, hygiene-oriented activity. But again, and I don't mean to be boring here by stretch of imagination. It's about the knowledge that your security infrastructure is working with, as opposed to the speed at which your security infrastructure is running at.
We've just implemented a new patching strategy because the old way wasn't working. If it's just expecting it was going to happen, in random ways through multiple groups and relying on those lines of business to know what has to be done. So we had to provide an overarching governance kind of committee to follow through and track those patch management cycles. And we had to have the commitment because I suspect, like everyone else, like an Oracle ERP system that we have as an example, to try and get downtime to patch that, the customer is always saying no, 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 no. So I finally had to get something top down, from senior executives saying this will happen. We're telling you it's going to happen every quarter, and prepare for it. And on top of that, overlaying, we've had the security side where we have the ability to raise our hands and say, okay, we're going to do an out-of-band patch because the risk and the impact is high enough, and it's all hands on deck to accomplish that. And yes, it's been disruptive, not from the point of the client necessarily. We haven't installed patches and blown systems up, knock on wood at this point in time, but now that they're getting into the rhythm that they know every quarter, based on our fiscal, that we're going to be doing this, they're starting to plan accordingly as well.
Trying to do exercise these processes manually simply isn't going to work because of the sheer numbers, the amount of sort of daily update change, whether we're talking about virus definitions or patch management or policy reconfigurations, those kinds of things. All of that in this state is happening at such a rate and with such high levels of intensity that it almost has to be an automated process. And not to sell anything here by any stretch, but we absolutely, Symantec absolutely has technologies that can look at an environment and say, this machine's out of date, this machine's out of date, this machine's out of date with respect to its patch levels. Pull those patches, install them, and deliver a report at the end of the month.